friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel. I'm Eso, this is EsoTarot, and in today's reading, I've got to get you a message from your ancestors because they came a-calling and I'm here to answer. So no reading breakdown today because it's pretty straightforward. I'm literally just going to use the tarot deck that you choose along with the oracles underneath that I've already pre-shuffled and see what your ancestors want you to know. Now, these could be ancestors, biological ancestors from this lifetime. They could be spiritual ancestors. They can be soul group ancestors. I'm really honestly leaving it open. The only thing that matters is that they're ancestors that are unconditionally loving and in resonance with sovereignty and the highest good of all beings. That is what matters. Other than that, no rules. But I feel awkward not doing a reading breakdown because I'm so used to it. But we have 3 groups for you to choose from today. So starting with group number 1, we are going to be using the Skeleton Tarot. Not sure where that little fuzz came from. And I have this obsidian arrowhead on top. And then for group number 2, we are going to be using the Luminous Void Tarot, and I have this piece of amber on top, and there's little bugs in it. They're they are way older than us, which is, I don't know, I just think cool. And then for group number 3, we are going to be using the Dolly Tarot, and I have this shark's tooth on top. So go ahead and pause the video if you need to decide which pile you feel most drawn to. It's absolutely okay to be drawn to more than one. This is kind of one of those readings where you'll know if it's for you or not, just based on the nature of the messages I'm giving. You know, obviously don't force anything that doesn't fit, but yeah, should be really straightforward. Intro squad. Hi, couple updates for you. Working on a lot. Got stuff to set up the garden. We're working on that. Okay, I am putting things on camera. Second channel's coming. It's coming along. I haven't posted anything yet, but it's the editing part. It's the editing part. I gotta make it entertaining. I'm not just putting I'm not gonna put slop out there. I can't do it. My ego's too big. I can't. Or maybe small. I don't know. All I do know is that I have to. I know we shouldn't negotiate with terrorists, but there's one in my brain and I have to work with it. But things are coming and progress is being made. So I'm really excited for that. But my question for you today is, well, I had like 3 different questions in mind and now all of them left me all at once. Well, I want to continue. Thank you for all the music recommendations that you guys gave me last time. I want to once again open the floor to music recommendations because I'm just trying to broaden my music horizon. So definitely lay that on me, as ABBA would say. Intro squad, my question for you is, what is a favorite deck of mine that I've used that you would like to see again or that you feel like you really connect to? Or what is a deck that you really connect to and why? What about decks? Like, what draws you in? Is it the artwork? Is it the theme? I would just really love to know, like, are you drawn to certain types of decks more than others? I certainly have a lot of them. I realized too, in saying decks, that could easily be well, it shouldn't be misconstrued, but I kind of laughed at the thought of, anyway, yeah, let me know. So that is all I have for you guys. I love you so much. Thank you for being here. We're just going to go ahead and get into it. I'm excited to get into these messages. So once you have picked your group or groups, I will see you in your reading. Hi there, pile 1. Welcome to your reading, and thank you so much for being here. If you guys chose this obsidian arrowhead and the skeleton tarot, nice choice by the way, this is going to be a reading on messages from your ancestors. And I just heard so clearly, like, the gang is all here, but it was in a really cheeky way, kind of similar to the persona of, like, a character in a story or movie that's like the jolly comedic relief. But there's respect around it in a way that unfortunately some of those characters don't get in media. But that energy just came through, and I definitely feel like there are ancestors here from like, I'm hearing all timelines, but also like what goes into all timelines is this idea of like past lives, experiencing consciousness off this planet. So like spiritual ancestors, soul family, like there's, everybody's here. So you might get hints or hits throughout the reading of who this might be, and some of it might even seem outlandish or wild, but just trust your gut, trust your judgment. But ultimately the face of the source doesn't matter, it's what it's made of, which is love. So let's see what your loving ancestors want you to know. So group number one's ancestors, what would you like group number one to know at this time? What messages do you have for them? We have the King of Wands. We have the Four of Pentacles. We have the Seven of Wands. The Knight of Pentacles. One more. And we have the Four of Swords. Okay. Oh, and on the bottom of the deck is the Ten of Cups. I'm going to kind of leave that off to the side because I don't think it's a main part of our reading. I'll just see if it ties in. But let's go ahead and look at your oracle cards now. So to start, we have, I naturally attract a deep, soul-nurturing grace through an unconditional trust in the loving spiritual intelligence of the universe. It's pretty mandala too. We have Apple with continuance. We also have water energy, as well as it looks like Capricorn energy here. We have Earth Magic, fearlessness, removing obstacles. We have communication and slingshot. You know how when you watch movies and like half of the plot is just the main character realizing that they are in fact what the story needs, they are in fact the main character? This is kind of the vibe that I'm getting from your ancestors, where it's like they're watching you in real time be like an example I'm thinking of is like Neo from the Matrix, you know, doubting that he's the one. And even having the experiences he needed, like from the Oracle, for example, saying that he's not the one. But I think that you need to know that you are the one. You are, and that's what your ancestors want you to know. Like, the life that you are living right now was perfectly curated for who Earth needed and who your soul needed to be. You are so precious and so wonderful and also so protected. And there are so many different ancestral lineages that are coming through to help you on whatever you may need on your path. And one thing that I'm hearing is that you are ready to release, or you're naturally going to be stepping into an easier time soon, where a lot of blockages and just setbacks and feelings and experiences of stagnation are dissipating. But there's also advice here on how to go about this, because I do think that there could be some tweaking in your everyday routine that could improve this as well. A couple of things I want to point out: the fact that we have the number 26 twice. So you could be 26, or maybe the age 26 is really significant. Also, the 26th of a month, or February 6th or June 2nd could be significant dates as well. And we are in the year 2026 when I'm filming this, so that could also be a factor. I was also hearing that Charlie XCX song about apples not falling far from the tree. And I think that one sad thing about you know, things just being lost to time and space is that you have no idea how similar you are to ancestors that existed 200-300 years ago. They're just great ancestors, and you're like the same. You're so similar, it's eerie. And you would never know it because like you don't have the time, you never knew each other. But when I say you're cut from the same cloth of greatness that your ancestors came from, you are. And I think you really doubt that the universe has your back, and I understand why. Like, I feel like there have been experiences that have caused you to just, from a self-protective place, kind of hold back. And but I feel like one thing that's coming through for your ancestors is that the biggest resistance stopping you from forward momentum is you. But it may not feel that way. There is definitely an encouragement of focusing on your nervous system, and learning and making sure you're regulated, because the ability to regulate that is going to help you just in terms of your day-to-day life. The fact that we have the King of Wands here just really tells me how capable you are, and also that you are constantly connected to divine energy and source and inspiration, whether you consciously recognize it or not. And not only that, but you have the charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent to ground more of yourself, what you want to put out into the world, what you create, or just who you are than you realize. I feel like your ancestors are coming through to say that also too, one type of rest that you want to start, that you need to prioritize in order for you to be able to have the capacity for more, is to focus on mental rest. And I feel like there's even an encouragement here to prioritize like silence, or listening to like sounds of nature, or something that's so quiet that your brain can't really hear it and process like sound. Because I think silence is definitely needed for you right now. And I don't think very much of it. I think even just like 20 minutes of quiet would be enough to like help you reset sometimes when you might find yourself feeling overwhelmed or discouraged. Because I feel like you have been working really hard to try and move forward, but it just seems like there's some sort of factor that keeps getting in the way. And I don't think it's the same thing every single time. I think it's different things. Like sometimes it might be something in you. Sometimes it might be distraction. Sometimes it might be uncertainty. Like you have inspiration one day, but no energy. And then the next day you have the energy, but you forgot what you were inspired about. Like I can definitely just see this process that you've been going through, where certain conditions seem to be right in any given moment, and other conditions seem to be either unfavorable or overwhelming in ways that seem to get in the way of the favorable conditions. And I think that there's also a lot of self-blame happening, where you may not even recognize that maybe like you've needed to be in this place where these conditions were almost insurmountable, because I do see resolve happening here. And also I think too, in some ways, like I think you've been ahead of schedule, and I think the universe has kind of been slowing you down a little bit, not because they want to hold you back, but because they don't, too much too soon could create like setbacks. It's actually just the most productive thing that could have happened. But I do feel like you're exiting that, and your ancestors want you to know that you don't have to hold on so tightly to this idea of like, I have to do things a specific way. I have to do them this way always. Like I have to be, if you're being really rigid or holding back, I feel like that, you may not recognize that like some of that isn't coming from just like you being afraid. I think it's also coming from pressure that you may be putting on yourself to operate in a certain way that looks acceptable to other people. And maybe that is part of what's holding you back. Like your vision can't match reality, because the way that the way that things are, the way things related to your visions, the way they're presented in reality aren't presented the way that you would want to do them or the way that makes sense to you. And so maybe you lose confidence, or you feel like maybe what you want to ground or what you want to do is too different. But like, that's what being a pioneer is all about. Okay, like being a leader, you have that ability. And I think that there's this encouragement from your ancestors as well around the fact that part of the gift of life is the slog of it all. And I know that sounds paradoxical, but one thing they want to explain is that like the slog of day-to-day life is part of, number one, just the nature of living in the physical dimension. Like we are the movers and doers here, and like we're built and designed to move and create and take action in this world, and a lot of that is super boring, and there's so many things that we can use to escape. But I feel like you could find mental rest in the slog. So if you're someone who like needs entertainment or distraction when you're doing like chores and things like that, I feel like there's almost this encouragement to try raw dogging it, quite literally raw dog your chores, and just use them with zero entertainment. You might find that you get into a more contemplative place, and also out of chaotic or like anxious, sporadic brain states that make it a lot harder for you to ground what you're already trying to create. I also feel like there's security and stability and protection around what you've already cultivated. But another message your ancestors want you to know is that a lot of the resistance that you feel is more so perceived than actually true. Now, the reason it is real in the sense that you feel it and you sense it, so it must be there. But realistically, even if it were there, if you weren't attuned to it, it almost wouldn't exist anyway. And I think one thing that your ancestors are saying is that you have the right to obliviousness, and you have the right to be on your own vibe and disconnect from anything that makes you feel less confident or makes you feel deflated. But I think there's also a part of you that may feel like you need to be in certain spaces that don't get you in order to share more of yourself. And I feel like your ancestors are saying, no, you can just create your own space. And like, I think a lot of resistance as well that has been insurmountable has served for a time, but I feel like your ancestors are saying it's time for that to leave. But also they're saying it's time for you to also look at where you may assume there's more resistance than there actually is. Like, it's like you've needed to sit and rest, but now it's time to actually push against that resistance, because you might find you're actually a lot stronger than what you were resisting. You will. And I feel that especially with this slingshot here, I feel like part of what's maybe been challenging for you to move forward is this like the perception of how much time has passed where you've been struggling in stagnation. And I feel like this slingshot is here to say that the distance between what you envision for your future and where you're at now is not as far as you think. But think of, how something moves in a slingshot, it has to be pulled back. But there's also a level of precision here that's important. There's a call here to refine your day-to-day routines, because there may just be more of yourself that you're giving than you have time for. And I don't just mean like to other people. I mean to like giving to things that don't fulfill you or nourish the future you're cultivating. So like now is the time to kind of cut out, like if you want to save some money and cancel a streaming subscription, or like just something that maybe eats your time, that doesn't involve your active engagement or creative input, you might find that like maybe lessening some of that would strengthen your creative muscles again. I feel like for some of you, you've been in a position where you just haven't been doing a lot of the things that nourish you, like spiritually and emotionally, because this stagnation has been so frustrating. And I think that actually like just cutting out some things that take up a lot of time and energy but don't really give a whole lot back to you, I think that will benefit you as well. But there's a huge energy here of hope, and a message too that you don't have to get through this alone. I do think that there's a lot of help around you. It's a matter of being willing to ask, and also be open to opportunities when they arise. Spontaneity may be your friend right now, where if you get spontaneous invitations to do something that just like really lifts your spirits up or is like, yes, I have to do it, go for it. Now is really the time for you to quite literally start getting back up on the horse and get back into old patterns that serve you, that maybe you dropped in this period of stagnation, and also start opening yourself up to new habits, new avenues of just taking action in ways that support the person you're becoming and support your body and mind and soul and spirit in the present moment. I feel like there's a lot of spiritual protection around you, but what's been missing is more balance materially and like within your own body. That's what I meant by materially, like balance in your own body and balance in your rhythms and routines. I feel like that's where you're headed now. Because you've moved past, I think, a lot of the fear around like what this stagnation meant, and I think you've moved into acceptance, which is a beautiful thing. And now I feel like it's time to start seeing all the opportunities, all the pathways, all the ways in which you can just move a little bit more forwards that you couldn't see before because like just the stress of being where you were was creating blinders. So this is just like honestly in general a really positive message to trust the rhythms you're riding, and also just don't be afraid to try things and mess up. Like I think that there's a message here too that you don't have to do everything perfectly, and chaos like could be your friend right now in a way where if chaos is creative or spontaneous in ways that are empowering instead of like self-destructive. I would say, though, everything's about to come full circle in a lot of ways. And I think things that you thought were once lost for good, you might find are ready to be reborn in a new way with you. And your ancestors are also asking you before you go to sleep at night to call upon the beings that love you unconditionally and ask for the highest levels of healing for the most skilled healers. And ask for healing of whatever you want, like body, mind, soul, spirit, anything, whatever you may need, and see if you feel different in the morning or whenever you wake up. I'm not always a morning person, so I shouldn't assume that. I also think though, if you are exploring earth magic in any way, or working with plants or anything like that, I feel like that could be really good for you. I think just working with plants in general or observing them or reading and learning about them will be really helpful to you, because there's a resilience to nature and planet Earth that lives within you, in your body, in your mind, in the physical, tangible parts of you. And I think that you're just entering a new phase, a new phase in terms of a greater part of a cycle where things are opening up again and moving forward. And I think that as you move forward, you're going to find that you could have arrived here less stressfully, and it still would have been the same result. And I think that's going to be powerful for you, because when you do eventually enter a place of stagnation or frustration or setbacks, in the future, you're gonna blame yourself less, and you're also going to be aware more of what might this situation be trying to show me. So I definitely think with this 10 of Cups being on the back of the deck, oh yes, that really tells me that there's a lot of like fulfillment and celebration ahead. And I also think that you don't need to continue holding back. There's also a message here to just try and show up every day. Even if that's like the smallest, and what I mean by show up is like show up for yourself. So if what you need, so like if you're really having a hard day, showing up for yourself in that day might be, making sure you take a shower or a bath, and making sure you get some food in your system and hydrating yourself. Maybe it's giving yourself permission to bed rot, maybe it's going for a walk. I would also say showing up for yourself as well when you've got a lot going on and you're happy with the momentum, and then something comes in that's a little bit disruptive or jarring, giving yourself permission to say, I don't need to deal with this right now, and learning to handle you know, the challenges it might give to your nervous system, so that you can redirect your focus. But I feel like there's a lot opening up for you. And the thing is I feel like the divine has been opening doors. You just haven't known that you can walk through them. You may not even realize they were open. You may have just assumed they were closed. But I really do think like you don't need to be fully conscious of the process you're undergoing. You just need to flow with what impulses and instincts guide you. And I think you'll find that there's like just everything works out in ways where you're like, oh, I don't have to be that conscious of the process. It makes me think of when I was at Giant's Causeway in Northern Ireland with my friend Charlotte. If you've ever watched her videos, Happy Souls, Happy Twins, 1111, she's awesome, amazing. And we had just the most wonderful day at Giant's Causeway. And we had a flight later that day, but we without even trying, timed everything perfectly. Like we were able to walk and explore, and then we had a great dinner, and by the time we were done with dinner, it was like the perfect time to go to the airport. And like we didn't plan or do anything, like we didn't worry about it, and it just worked out. And that's what I'm thinking of in your case, where you really don't even have to think about it and it just all works out. Also, Giant's Causeway is a really spectacular, beautiful place that you should definitely visit if you haven't. Shout out to Northern Ireland. Yeah, okay, so we're gonna go ahead and finish this message off by getting a guided message from the White Light Oracle and just see what wants to come through here. And also, if you enjoyed this, thank you for leaving me a like and subscribing and signing up for my email list and sending me good vibes. I'm sending you good vibes right back. Okay. So group number one's ancestors, what final messages do you have for group number one when it comes to their path moving forward? What do they need to know at this time? I'm gonna check and make sure. Okay, the titties are covered. Thank goodness. All right, so we have Archon, Barbalo. I don't know how to pronounce things. One thing about me is if it's a Pokemon, crystal, or in an unknown language, I'm not going to know how to pronounce it. Your biology and gender are creative and powerful means for you to express your soul path. Sometimes you may feel limited by gender constraints or stereotypes, but your spirit can never be restricted or controlled. Embrace the journey of what it feels like to be you in your own body. There is much benefit and healing to be gained through an embrace of your life journey, including the deeper experience of the absolute freedom of your spirit. Yeah, I definitely think one big focus is like that your ancestors are saying is to see forward momentum on earth. You need to improve the process of feeling comfortable and safe in your body and grounding into it. And I know that sound like it's like that's not the easiest thing in the world to do, but it's definitely something that you can take step by step. I feel like and actually speaking of, I feel like grounding is a process of like going down the steps. Like you don't immediately just feel grounded and in your body. Like you have to descend, you know, one by one. And that takes time. But I will say it's easier than going up the steps, so at least you have the problem of grounding instead of the other way around, where, you know, a lot of people they're pretty grounded, but they gotta go up the steps, you know, burns the thighs more. Archon B is an angel, goddess, and divine mother in sacred space. She is mysterious and powerful. She is the inviolable purity and truth of your being, the spiritual essence within you that is eternal and cannot be tainted or distorted. And I feel like that really represents this King of Wands card. Like you are always connected to that, and like you are that. Her presence in a reading is a sign that any errors in judgment shall be corrected and any losses shall be restored. If you have been off your path or become disconnected from your real self, she is the innate understanding and power within your heart that pulls you back into authentic connection and true direction. Archon B teaches the soul the mystery of how we can be in a male or female body and yet have characteristics of both the masculine and feminine within us. She also helps us understand how our androgynous spiritual essence can embrace masculine and feminine energies to accomplish its higher purpose. This spiritual essence is beyond gender and is not altered in any way by it. When a connection to the androgyny of the spirit is experienced authentically, there is no rejection of the biology of the body, nor the gender-based experiences that the soul has chosen to fulfill its spiritual mission. We can enjoy our inner masculine and feminine energies and engage with them to create, celebrate, and grow spiritually and heal our soul. Every soul has a unique path, and yet every soul is here to find the way home to divine love and inner truth. The feminine energies in every soul empower our ability to embrace what is and find compassion. This allows for the mercy, forgiveness, and wisdom that start with what is and hold space for evolution into what can be. The masculine energies in every soul encourage exploration, development, and inquiry, stimulating us to question everything, which can lead to a discernment and higher understanding and keep us strong. This ensures that negativities are banished from our personal space before they can undermine our personal healing and spiritual progress. Archon B helps us fully experience the masculine and feminine principles as creative, interesting, and powerful methods of expression rather than definitions of who we are. The value of the body, gender, and biology as ways for the soul to experience and express itself is complemented by the freedom that comes with the understanding that the spiritual part of you is entirely free from constructs of any kind. You can retreat to this sacred, pure, untouched place within when you need to replenish your reserves of wisdom and willpower for your life journey. Connecting with this part of you can remind you that whilst your life journey and your experiences are important to help you grow, they do not determine who and what you are. You exist in the realm of Archon B, the pure light of divine essence, yet your spirit is always nestled beneath her radiant wings. Yet to shine that light in the world where it is most needed, it requires you to have a soul journey as a human being in a physical body with a biology and gender. If you have any concerns about this or wish to bring healing to those who have such concerns, this oracle brings encouragement. Ask for help and healing from the divine spirit that all souls find truth in their journey, blessed with mercy, wisdom, grace, and compassion. So I actually have more messages. I'm going to need you to hold with me a second, but I do want to show you the healing process in case you guys want to do that and screenshot it. Shit. I thought I wasn't going to have to deal with titties. I got... That's so funny. Like, just what you think is safe, you know, got to keep me on my toes, I guess, but... That's hysterical. Oh, I love when spirit has a sense of humor. Okay. So, that being said, and the last message that I do want to give you guys has to do with knowing the difference between standing up for what's right and wasting your energy. The fact that we have communication in Slingshot here and then like this message, what really came through to me is that a lot of, I think, what's held you back are the misunderstandings, being misunderstood, and having those misunderstandings projected upon you. Obviously, that's a very painful experience, and as someone, I can completely understand like what that's like and how painful it is. I feel like one message your ancestors want to give you is that you have the wisdom to know whether something is worth your time or not, and you don't have to spend your time explaining yourself to people who are not even interested in understanding you. People who genuinely care about you will meet you eye to eye, even if they don't fully understand or need time to process and understand what you're trying to share with them. You know, people aren't perfect and we all have to do our best. And I think one thing that you beat yourself up for, that I really feel like your ancestors and me as well are asking you to stop, is feeling like the onus is on you for you and anyone you feel represented by to be understood. It doesn't matter how much you communicate. Some people are just don't care, and they're just unwilling to understand you. And there are others that just genuinely may be completely incapable of it. You know, literacy rates, for example, in the United States are very scary. And that's something that I try to keep in mind when I feel frustrated that I'm misunderstood, because I realize that maybe my expectations are too high of what can be received by others in the same light that I'm trying to share it. And I think for you, a person's inability to receive what you have to share is not a reflection of the lack of light within you or the lack of they do not invalidate your experience. No matter what they think, they don't truly have that power over you. And I think the more you step into your body and the more you step into self-acceptance, you will find that you feel less and less burdened to explain yourself because you realize you didn't ever have to in the first place. And you never have to again if you don't want to. I think that sometimes the distance between you and what you might be trying to share with others might be very large, and you shouldn't beat yourself up when you feel like you haven't been able to communicate perfectly, or you feel like you haven't been able to, what you're trying to share hasn't been received with the intentions you wanted to give it. That's not a reflection of like your lack of worth. However, I think one thing your ancestors are saying as well is that there are ways to improve our listening skills, our communicating skills. And I think a lot of times actually improving your communication is about listening. And that can be kind of frustrating and hard when there's a lot you want to share, or when you feel like you're defending an idea. But you might find that if you feel very called to protect ideas or stand up for beliefs or communicate with others that don't see the world the way that you do, you might find that you actually get a much better upper hand in conversations by listening instead of feeling like you have to know what to say. Because number one, you'll have the space to discern whether this is a serious person who's actually, who actually means well. And number two, by listening to them, I think you might be shocked at the things that come out of your mouth that open up understanding or create more like harmony and understanding than if you're just trying to get them to listen. Don't underestimate the power of your words. Yes, you can be more strategic and discerning with them, but instead of like being on offense, I think defense is actually a better solution, because in listening, you'll get the answers what you need. And I think that will lead to less like, oh man, why did I say that? Oh man, why did I do that? Like beating yourself up for things like outside of your control. Okay, that's the last message I have. So group one, that is where I'm going to leave this reading. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you so much for letting my ads play in the background while you do something else. That is one of the simplest and easiest ways to show appreciation and support for my channel. So thank you to everyone who does that. If you'd like to support me in other ways, you can like this video and comment down below. Let me know how it resonates. You can subscribe if you haven't already. Be sure to click that little notification bell to be notified whenever I upload a new reading. You can check out my merch. You can check out my social media. You can check out my website's coming soon, so be on the lookout for that. You can sign up for my email list. Things like personal readings and stuff like that, all of that will only be communicated to my email list. So you'll definitely want to be on that if that's something you're interested in. I do have a second channel, and there will be videos coming soon. I pinky, double pinky promise. And yeah, like, comment, subscribe, all that's super helpful. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys. So thank you so much for watching and for letting me read for you. I really hope these messages resonated and brought you what you needed to hear. I hope you all have a wonderful day or night whenever it is that you're watching this video, and I hope you'll come back and see me again soon. Bye! Hi there, Pile 2. Welcome to your reading, and thank you so much for being here. If you guys chose the Amber and Luminous Void Tarot, this is going to be your reading on messages from your ancestors. So I don't use this deck very often, even though I've had it for years, because some people are so mean about the artwork that like I feel bad using it. I guess it freaks some of you out, but I love the artwork on here. I mean, okay, that's just one example. I mean, I don't know. I think it's quirky and unique, and I like it, and I hope you like it too. But if you don't, that's okay. But I'm probably going to use it more often because I enjoy the artwork. Anyway, thank you for being here. We're going to go ahead now and ask what your ancestors would like you to know. So the ancestors of group number 2, what messages do you have to my group 2s? Okay, we have the 8 of Wands. We have the Three of Pentacles. I don't know if it wants to be upright or reversed. Okay, I felt it wanted to be reversed, so I'm going to take it that way. We have the Page of Cups, and a bunch of other cards came out, but I'm just going to take the Page of Cups because it's way too many. What else? We have the Two of Swords. And one more, please. What would you like? Ancestors of group 2, what would you like group 2 to know? Okay, we have Judgment, but I'm going to need to... I shouldn't need to censor it because it's so abstract, but I'm going to just in case, because... Alright, and we have Judgment. Wow, okay. As for your oracles, we have I relax. A sacred shield of spiritual protection supports my heart in attracting exceptional blessings and generous grace. We have Soul Radiance with Phoenix Rising. We have Energy. We have Anxiety. And we have Onion. I'm actually gonna... Oh yeah, that's so much better. Look at how similar they are. Okay, well the first thing I need to tell you, group 2, is that everything is going to be okay. There does seem to be some common threads between group... Okay, another card fell out. I'm not gonna leave it, but it was the Five of Cups, and so I do feel like one thing your ancestors want you to know is to not cry over spilled milk because you didn't do anything wrong. I feel like you could be feeling a little bit like just wishing you could go back and change things, like knowing what you know now. And I feel like your ancestors are saying there's no point in doing that, and also that's not what you were meant to do. Don't have regrets for pathways that were never paved. Your ancestors, I feel like you are at the cusp of a new beginning or in a new beginning, and maybe feeling a little bit overwhelmed at what's ahead of you. Maybe you know exactly the direction you're supposed to be headed in, but you're worried about getting there, you're worried about the journey. Or maybe you know it's time to get moving and it's just time to get started, and you feel like you don't know where to start, or you're just overwhelmed. I definitely think one message coming through for your ancestors is it's okay to coddle yourself. I think when you have the idea of forward momentum, you have this idea that it must be grueling and intense, or at least prolonged and prolific enough that other people would give approval as, oh yes, you're working hard, you're doing everything you can. I think one thing your ancestors want you to know as well is that you don't always have to collaborate with other people or do things in a way that makes sense to others. And any attempt to do that as you move forward, I think will probably hold you back. I feel like you know this, but knowing isn't being. And I think you instinctually get to a point where you might hold back or not take certain actions because of what other people might think, or maybe even too, there could be some sort of like blockage in your work life that is making it feel like you can't truly start or you can't begin until this is sorted out. And your ancestors are saying that your career or what you are doing in terms of like collaborating with others or whatever you do financially, that is not what this new beginning is about. It might be a byproduct that is addressed as a result of this new pathway you're taking, but I think that you're focused on the wrong aspects. It's like you're missing the forest for the trees. I shouldn't say that because I literally can never remember what that means. Like, honestly, it kind of confuses me. But I guess the point of what is trying to be said here is that you're focusing on details when the bigger picture is that this new beginning is a lot about you, and it's a lot about you getting back into a space of reconnecting on a daily basis with your true essence, just being in your body, being in your energy, and reclaiming your right to live joyfully, positively, just embodied in general, that may have been taken away or may have been suppressed by past pains or past hurts. I feel like there's no reason to overthink here. And there's, once again, because I think this was a message in the last group, so you might want to look at the last group as well. There's definitely a message here that you don't see the full scope of how big of a transformation you've been undergoing and how big of a new beginning this is, because there are many layers to what has been refined already, what's being attuned, what's being generated, what's being created. It runs so much deeper than I think you realize. And one thing as well that your ancestors want you to know is that you are not going to miss calls to action, because not only are you going to feel the impulse to do it, but you're going to get reassurance from the world outside of you through synchronicity, through, divine intervention. Like, if something truly needs to happen, spirit will step in. And I think your ancestors are supporting you with this as well. But I think there's also too maybe some fear into stepping into this new cycle, because I do think it asks you to be more vulnerable than you've had to be in the past, especially with this Page of Cups here and this I relax. Like, part of this new journey is about allowing yourself to be baby. And what I mean by that, I can't believe I'm telling this story, but a couple years ago, I had to go on a trip. Actually, I was going to meet Carrie, Kino Tarot for the first time on 9/11 of all days. And I was really overwhelmed. I had a lot going on, and I lived far away from the airport, like an hour and a half. And I just kind of had a meltdown, like, the day of, because I was just exhausted and I had so much going on and I had so much to do, and I was like, I'm so tired of being daddy, I just want to be baby. And the universe heard my cries, because my dad ended up driving me to the airport, and it was much appreciated, and I recognized I needed that help. I needed that help, and I needed to ask for it, because I don't ask for help a lot, and I feel like you might be the same way. And maybe that's part of what this Three of Pentacles in reverse is about as well. Like, maybe part of what you need in order to step into more softness or step into more gentleness towards yourself is to ask for help in areas of life where it is just too much on your own. Just because there isn't a physical limitation doesn't mean that there aren't energetic, emotional, or mental limitations that could be offset by someone else to help. Like, for example, if part of this next step of your life is reorganizing and you're not naturally good at organizing, maybe that would be a great time to ask for help for someone. I know it's a vulnerable thing, but I think that there are people whose natural strengths could really support you in this process of allowing yourself to soften more, because I do think that's what this time is about. It's about letting yourself be taken care of more by feeling less, not by feeling, but by removing and absolving yourself of responsibility that may have been getting in the way of you just enjoying the present moment and being able to just enjoy, like make decisions from an empowered place, or just from a place of I want to do this, instead of like obligation or I don't know the word. Moving forward. I feel like I'm hearing that song like I get knocked down, but I get up again. And I feel like you're back up, but now you got to start walking and you're like, oh, is anyone going to knock me down? And I feel like your ancestors are really coming through to say a lot of what you're worried about and a lot of what's stopping you from just moving, like from just taking action and starting to embrace like what this new beginning is asking of you, is just like what ifs that won't even come to fruition or won't even be as significant as you think them to be. That was a message as well in group 1 that seemed to be a common theme here. So it's kind of cool. I wonder if the collective in general is just branching out, but also like creating more room for newness. I definitely think you'll have what you need to do what's important and what's necessary as you move forward. But I think a lot of self-doubt and overthinking might get in the way of you realizing that you're doing enough. And also, you may have trouble discerning what's truly being asked of you in a given moment, or what the true meaning of an experience or a present situation is, because you may be looking at it from standards that are like judgmental towards yourself, or through just like one specific area of your life, when in reality it may actually have some to do with something much deeper that you're not even aware is there. And so I do feel like your ancestors are saying like the best thing that you can do moving forward is stop assuming and start asking and just getting curious. I think the greatest guidance will come to you not when you're thinking of solutions or asking for answers, but instead just, well, I guess you're being asked to ask questions and listen, specifically to the ether. Like, let the ether answer you is what I'm hearing. But I think that, like, do you notice that as I'm giving these messages, I'm pausing a lot more frequently than I need to, or than I not that I need to, than what I'm used to. Unless you're new here, hi, hope you stick around. I think that's because part of what this new cycle for you is about is having time to stop and rest. I think that there are going to be bursts of energy and also times of like downtime. I don't think it's gonna be, in the last group actually there was more of like a consistent rhythm, whereas for you guys I feel like there's more of a right now is a time to run on vibes. Obviously don't do anything stupid, don't throw your brain away, but I do think that you might find like this anxious resistance to honoring your own flow because you may feel like it's not justified or it doesn't make sense. But I think that you're just in a natural part of integrating what you need in order to move forward, and also releasing and like processing what cannot come with you as you move forward. I think that if you are tired, you need to relax. Like, I think this Page of Cups is really significant, and this Eight of Wands too, because in both, like, figures are laying down. I think that if you need more rest right now, take it. Like, your ancestors are definitely saying like, whatever, like if your body is just exhausted, or if you find yourself like craving specific foods, or just needing specific things, even if you would consider them maladaptive coping mechanisms, obviously like don't harm yourself, but everything in moderation. I think your form of moderation as this cycle moves forward is more about going with the flow and trusting in that flow, instead of analyzing what the flow is trying to do and figure out where it's taking you and whether you can afford to have this flow and whether this flow is acceptable or okay. This flow is there because it's what is meant to carry you. And I think that you've undergone this transformation and are in this new beginning because you're meant to live in life in a more heart-centered way, in a way that there is not so much mental anguish and uncertainty around what you're doing, why you're here, or anguish about like feeling entitled to your space, to your time, to your energy, to your body. And I think one thing you need more of is gentleness. And I think that's what your ancestors are really asking you to give yourself more of. Like, your ancestors didn't work their heinies off. I never use the word heinies, so I don't know. That might be for some of you. Your ancestors didn't work their heinies off for you not to enjoy the fruits of their labor. And that could mean lots of different things to lots of different people, but I think one of them is enjoy take the time to enjoy and savor the gifts of the modern age, especially when it comes to nurturing yourself, when it comes to resting. And I think there's a message too about this path that you'll find that things slow down and you feel more stagnant and more overwhelmed and maybe more anxious when you do give away your energy, when it's not helpful, and when you do resist your natural rhythms. But what you're going to find is that the more you honor your natural rhythms without overthinking it or like freezing into analysis, and you get rest when you need it and you make progress when it's time, and everything flows a lot more smoothly. And then you'll get the answers of, oh, this is why I was feeling this way. Like, this is why I was so tired. Like, there's value behind the rhythms that you're sensing in your body. And I think that that's actually a message here too that your ancestors want to give you, which is your body has the wisdom your mind is seeking. And calming the mind is not a matter of giving it the answers it wants to hear or giving it answers at all. It's a matter of redirecting the mind towards how it can serve the body and towards using its abilities to listen, scan, pay attention to yourself so that it can help you make the best decisions based on what your body's asking of you. And specifically your heart. Your heart is a muscle. And I think that part of this new time is about learning to feel into your heart, learning to feel into your emotional energy in ways that maybe have not been registered in the past because you've been more in your head or just more focused on other things. This new beginning for you is a lot about reclaiming what has been lost or sacrificed on the altar of expectation and obligation. And the thing that I was saying earlier about me pausing a lot is, in these times of pause, you may feel like you're regressing, or you may feel like, is this new beginning still happening? Am I falling off the path? This is part of it. You're already on it. But what might make you feel confused is you might feel like, well, if I'm not getting any impulse, or I'm not getting any direction, or the flow or the current is completely stopped and there's no flow, you might be really uncomfortable with just floating and relaxing. And you might be on edge, feeling like hypervigilant, like you need to be aware of a message. Should a message arise, like, what do I need to do? Like if there is something that needs to happen, you're not gonna miss it. So when you get nothing and you hear nothing, don't sit by the metaphorical phone. Relax, because you're not gonna miss a message when you need to hear it. You're not gonna miss guidance when you need to hear it. And you're not going to be oblivious to action that needs to be taken, because you are already becoming more and more in tune with those rhythms. But I think that what your ancestors want you to understand is that the cycle that you've been in is much larger than what you realize, and it runs much deeper than you realize. And I think that there's some fear as you move forward about past things recurring, but what you don't understand is that the past is dead and gone. And even though there could be echoes of something similar happening in the past, it's not going to hit the same way, it's not going to be as intense, and it's not going to be something that happens out from nowhere. You're going to sense it and see it probably before it happens and prevent any possibility of it happening. Or if it does happen out of your control, it's not going to hit you or impact you in the way that you think. You are protected. Like that, I think that part of this new beginning is about realizing that you are protected and leaning into support by being less hypervigilant when it comes to feeling solely responsible for how your path moves forward. There's a little bit of a letting go here in the sense of needing to be less strategic and more spontaneous, but also leaning on parts of yourself that maybe you're less familiar listening to, or something like that. But all of this is really positive and really powerful. If you find yourself crying randomly, definitely honor that. I think it's going to be really helpful for you. It's just a matter of release. And I think as well, there's a message here that, like, if there's any betrayal that has been making it difficult for you, or like if you experience betrayal or rejection that's made it hard for you to really feel into yourself and your own experience without feeling embarrassed or ashamed, I think that there's a healing on a deep level of wounds around humiliation happening for you, where you're going to be reclaiming parts of yourself that maybe you've rejected or you forgot were there, and they're really going to help you move forward, because I think these are like childhood parts of self, adolescent parts of self, and just parts of self that are lighter and are more capable of accessing not only spontaneity, but like wonder and awe. Like there, you have much greater capacity for whimsy when you feel more relaxed and safe in your body. And so I think that that's something that's happening right now for you. And I think that you are learning how to give yourself permission to do that, because sometimes I think you might like almost resist that or instinctually be like hesitant. But I feel like your ancestors are saying part of what your journey this lifetime is about is getting out of survival mode and into a state of being where you can thrive. And I think that this new beginning is what that's all about. So I'm really excited for you. So with that being said, if you guys did enjoy this, I'd appreciate you leaving me a little like or just let me know how it resonated or anything like that. But we're going to go ahead now and just get a final message from your ancestors and see what they want to say to you. Okay. Crazy cards. Okay. Group number 2's ancestors. What would you like group number 2 to know at this time? What guidance do they need to hear for their highest good, please? And one thing I will say as well is this whole time, I felt like I've been missing things. And I think that's just a reflection of the fact that you may feel like you're missing things. Because I trust I give what I'm meant to. But I've definitely felt this like, am I getting everything? Is like, so don't expect that instinct to disappear. It's a matter of acknowledging the awareness that it's there, but also choosing to trust in what's true for you and what you know to be true. And learning to release that questioning, because it just gets in the way of your ability to be fully present. But okay, I need to censor this. Censor crystal. Okay. So we have Queen of the Nagas. Okay. A sacred task exists for you to fulfill. It is to be found through connection to your heart. Be open only to those most authentic teachings which prove helpful to your continued spiritual progress and personal freedom. Cleansing your body, mind, heart, and soul will be a particular benefit of this time. At this time, powerful, subtle energies are helping ensure your success. Believe that many positive synchronicities and unexpected allies will rally to support you. The mysterious beings known as Nagas are recognized in spiritual traditions across India, Nepal, and Tibet, as well as in other shamanic and cultural traditions. Nagas are connected to water and are extremely sensitive to pollutions and poisons of any kind. They become disturbed when the waters are polluted, and since our bodies are composed of more water than anything else, when the waters of our planet are disturbed, so too are we. We can make gentle offerings to the waters of our planet to help heal them through our choices. As we do our part to honor and heal the waters, we help ourselves and the Nagas, who in turn assist humans to further heal and evolve spiritually. Certain Nagas, including the Naga Queen, are emanations of enlightened higher beings. The Eastern goddess of compassion, Kuan Yin, is said to assume the form of a benevolent Naga to help beings in need of her protection. Enlightened Naga beings are very helpful to humans, protecting secret wisdoms and offering powerful teachings to those who are wise and committed enough to use them for the greater good. The Naga Queen helps such practitioners overcome the numerous poisons that abound in our world and find deep emotional healing to make significant progress. The Queen of the Nagas brings two messages. First is that as you maintain your integrity and take your emotional healing journey, you are placing yourself within a powerful field of spiritual protection. Continue to tend to your inner healing and ask for spiritual protection each day from the higher beings you love. As you continue with such practices, a palpable field of positive energy accumulates around you, minimizing negative influences. On off days, this field buffers you from your own mind or factors outside of your control, such as astrological influences or other people's ego-driven actions. If some negativity does enter your world, its severity is minimized, and you will recover from the disturbance more swiftly. You can honor this guidance through the spiritual protection exercise below. The second message of this oracle is that something of great value is at work in your world. Spirit works with tremendous subtlety, even when it is accomplishing a masterful stroke of luminous inspiration and powerful grace. You may not be fully aware of the divine protection being granted or of a negativity that was averted, yet you are being held in grace nonetheless. If you are struggling with some matter, know that spiritual protection has prevented the situation from escalating and shall ensure the situation is corrected and resolved. The divine can assume continued progress, facilitating the right things at the right time. There is no need to impose a limit on the limitless resourcefulness and creative generosity of the divine at play in your affairs. All you need to do is invite it in and trust. So yeah, I feel like that's pretty fitting, and makes me feel really reassured, because I feel like I probably got what was needed there. But there is a healing process if you would like to do that on your own. Oh my gosh, my book looks like that really cool figure skater's hair. I cannot remember her name, but it made me think of her. So that, okay, nothing I have to censor, at least. But group number 2, that is all I have for you guys. So thank you so much for watching and for letting me read for you. I really hope you got the messages most necessary, and you got what you needed. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you so much for letting my ads play in the background while you do something else. That's the simplest and easiest way to support me and my channel, so thank you to everyone who does that. If you'd like to support me in other ways, you comment down below. Let me know how it resonates, like, subscribe, all that jazz. Sign up for my email list, especially if you want to be in the know about all things ASO. If you want to check out my second channel, there will be stuff up soon, I promise. Yeah, and other stuff will be linked down below. That's all I have for you guys. Thank you so much for watching and for letting me read for you. I really hope these messages resonated. I love you guys so much. I hope you all have a wonderful day or night whenever it is that you're watching this video, and I hope you'll come back and see me again soon. Bye! Hi there, Pile 3. Welcome to your reading, and thank you so much for being here. If you guys chose the Shark Tooth and the Dolly Tarot, this is going to be your reading on messages from your ancestors to you. So we are going to just see what they want you to know. If you get any hints about specific ancestors, I think I said this in the intro, take that as it resonates. I apologize for the appearance of my hands. This thumb is probably the worst, but it's because I was out in my garden setting it up, and I got it done today, and I got a lot of footage. So if you're not subscribed to my second channel, you might want to be if you want to join the chaos that is my everyday life. But if not, Just happy to have you here and do this reading for you. So if you just want to focus your energy and set the intention that the messages most necessary come through, feel free. So for group number 3, group number 3's ancestors, what would you like group number 3 to know at this time? And speaking of time, this is a timeless reading, so whenever you find it is when it's meant for you, not when I upload it. We have the Ace of Swords. Okay, I heard the word breakthrough, and then I heard that song Bulletproof. I don't know, it was 2010s poppy song. I don't know who sang it. You know though. You know it. What else? What else? Group number 3's ancestors want group 3 to know. We have the 6 of Cups. We have the 8 of Pentacles. Don't make fun of me. There's not even like an 8 here. I have to count. Okay, well, you can make fun of me. It is kind of funny how bad at math I am, but okay, Sensor Crystal. There we go. 8 of Pentacles. Group number 3's ancestors. We have the Emperor. And we have the 5 of Cups. I don't know if I need to censor this. I'm just going to, for the sake of not making my life more difficult. Okay, so 5 of Cups. All right. Good messages, I can already tell. I do just have to say. Back of the deck is the 7 of Pentacles. Not really going to use that though. Okay, as for your oracles, we have, I tune into the healing power of my heart's sweetness, recognizing that I am worthy of kindness, love, and care. We have precognition, psychic ability, future vision. We have Sorrel with affection, fire energy, and Taurus energy. We have self-doubt, and we have teapot. Okay. I kind of love this. Like, every single group's message was different, but there are some key themes that seem to be carrying through all the readings. So if you were drawn to any of the other readings, feel free to check them out. Although I will say this reading is going to be, you know, its own unique thing. But there are themes of starting over, the breaking down of old cycles. Like, you know, really the overall theme is hope. There's a lot of hope. There's a lot of hope in this house. There's a lot of hope wherever you are, even if you can't feel it. Shout out to all the hopes out there, named Hope. Your ancestors want you to know that you haven't messed anything up, nothing has been lost, and that you're about to step into the next phase of your life. And it is going to be so fundamentally different from any, I guess, phase you've ever lived before. And the reason why that is this Emperor card here. You're stepping into a deeper level of sovereignty and control over yourself, and also releasing responsibility around what was never yours to carry to begin with. The fact that we have, I tune into the healing power of my heart's sweetness, recognizing that I am worthy of kindness, love, and care. This Emperor energy is fueled by that and is protecting this energy. So this sweetness, this loving energy within you, that's the truth of who you are. And that's also the truth of how you're meant to live in this world and how you're meant to share yourself with others, whether that's in career or self-development. With this Eight of Pentacles here, I do feel like for a lot of you, there could be a career-based element to this, specifically for those of you that are thinking about doing a psychic-based career or something like that. I can see that even if you've already been doing that and you're uncertain about it, I am seeing that your ancestors are giving you a giant message of don't give up, and keep going even when you feel like things don't make sense or you feel like you don't feel confident in what you're doing. Because what I can really see here is that you're undergoing a very powerful process that you're probably completely oblivious to, because in terms of human sensory perception and like time space awareness, like it's very subtle in terms of your experience, but there's so much happening underneath the surface of what you can't realize. And like what's happening underneath the surface is this profound transformation and reorientation of which parts of you take the lead in your everyday life. And I think specifically you're tuning back into your heart in a very powerful way. And there's a big message here too, especially with this Ace of Swords and the Teapot and the Emperor and self-doubt, that if one of the things holding you back is fear of being misjudged, fear of being ridiculed, fear of what other people will think or what other people will say, that fear is really the only thing stopping you from doing what it is you want to do. And I know you know that. But the thing is that that fear actually has so much less power over you than you realize. And I think actually you haven't even encountered a situation where this would, it's like I see you like fearfully anticipating like, oh, well, if I do this thing, people might say this might happen, like I might get judged or I might look stupid. Like I can see you threat assessing and kind of avoiding any challenges, avoiding any undesirable outcomes. But the thing is that in terms of undesirable outcomes, it's less of like an outcome, but more just like a side effect or a byproduct of the things that you want to do. Like, for example, if you live in a small town, you know, and you want to do your own thing, you know, let's say you start your own business, or let's say you change your name. You know how people are. They don't always get on board real fast. Sometimes they never do. But who's really stopping you there? It's not them. It's a small town. People are bored. They gotta do something. And I'm not saying that that's your case specifically, but there is a powerful level of peace, awareness, and control that you're stepping into, and it's directly related to your self-esteem, and also in recognizing projection and also losing the self-doubt when it comes to setting necessary boundaries for your own well-being, protection, safety, and happiness. I definitely feel like with this Five of Cups here, I feel like you've been disappointed by how you haven't been able to live up to your own expectations, and also just, you know, maybe you had past visions of how you wanted your future to be, and now that you're at the present, you're like, I thought I'd be further along, or I thought this would be different. I thought, well, you thought wrong. Not in the sense that like you were wrong to want those things or wrong to see your future that way, but the way that things have panned out, I think have actually been incredibly important for your growth and development, because it's what you've needed in order to step into empowerment and complete don't give any F's energy around claiming your divine birthrights, taking up space, stepping into what's yours, and accepting the leadership roles and responsibilities you may have as a result of where you're being guided. The fact that we have this precognition card here tells me that, number one, you could specifically have Egyptian ancestors, because we have like an Egyptian baddie on the card. Speaking of Egyptian baddies, White Feather Tarot might have a message for you that's helpful. Feel free to check her out. Shout out to White Feather Tarot. She's the best. Talk about someone who is full of kindness, love, and care and sweetness. I'm sure you would enjoy her videos if you've never checked them out, which you should. But you probably have, because she's great. Anywho, I think that you're ready. Well, it's not that you're ready. I think that you're going to continue integrating on a deeper and deeper level. Awareness of what's yours to carry and what isn't, what responsibilities you do have and don't. I definitely think one of the things that has been burning you out is taking too much responsibility for things that are, number one, either out of your control or have literally nothing to do with you, and it's just someone's noise or mess trying to bring you into it. You overestimate how harshly people look at you. People do not look at you as harshly as you look at yourself. And also, one thing that I'm seeing here as well is like, clearly wherever you're being guided and where you're being asked to take your next steps, it's something that's in alignment with your heart. And if you're like, I don't know where I'm being guided, I don't know what's going on, I don't know if I'm like, if you don't have any idea of what's going on, just keep doing your thing and focus on connecting to your heart and just doing things that you love. Like, just feeling good feelings, I think, is the best thing you can do if you don't know what to do. Because I do think that, like, your cup runneth over, but then your cup stayeth dry because you forget to replenish your own emotional needs. And I feel like as well there's a message from your ancestors saying, like, gossip has been a factor of human reality since the beginning. It will continue to be. And guess what? It's meaningless. Some of it does get left in the pages of history, but history isn't an exact science, and we also have, like, the gift of discernment, and we don't have to take things as truth. Like, I'm thinking of the example of how people would talk about Catherine the Great and said that she, you know, had biblical relations with a horse. It's just like, that doesn't sound right. But I do think there could be some bitter haters back then that would say some shit like that. And I think it really says more about the society around her than her itself. But that's a hard thing. You can't control narratives. You can't control how people see you. What you can control is what you do. And so what your ancestors are coming through to tell you is that you were never wrong. And I think that you have been unburdening yourself with a lot of wounding around judgment, rejection, maybe even humiliation, or abandonment or betrayal, things like that, especially when it comes to being your authentic self and sharing parts of yourself that may not always be well received. Like, for example, like the part of you that taps into your psychic abilities. You know, you might have people that are like, psychic abilities are real. And then they go and talk about the economy like it is real. Like, all that is a collective agreement created by some jerks who didn't realize that clearly that they could use their free will to do other things with. I don't know if they were jerks. I'm talking out of my ass. And that's the thing too. It's like, I think that you're also very afraid to be, like, not curated. Like, you see how I just had stupid things come out of my mouth? It's not a big deal. And actually, a lot of people like the stupid things that come out of my mouth. Thank you if you're one of them. I really appreciate it. And in fact, you might find that the more you embrace that kind of, like, filtering yourself less, the more you get to attract those people that, like, will, like, what you're sharing, will want to support you, or just will vibe with you. I also, one message from your ancestors is that there's somebody in your periphery who has the potential to be an amazing friend. I don't think that it's who you're expecting, and I do think it's somebody that the bond would begin over a common shared interest that's likely quite niche, that you probably don't even know that the other has interest in. And then it might build from there. But ultimately, you are responsible and powerful enough to step into a deeper level of control and take your power back when you are not in a position, like when you're ready to catch yourself when you're giving your power away or shrinking away from the greatness that is you and your calling. I feel like you're stepping into either a deeper level of a calling you've already been pursuing, or you're being called to something, and it's either new or it requires you to take the lead. It might require you to take a risk. Whatever it is, though, it's definitely connected to your heart. It's something that you've cared about since you were a child, or something that brings you back to like it. Maybe if it's not a child, though, it still brings you back to a sense of familiarity and passion. You know, the first card that I ever drew actually was the Six of Cups, and I didn't believe in anything like this at the time. I got them purely for science, and that card coming out, I felt this weird feeling of like, I feel like I've done this before. Not tarot, but like, I just felt this feeling of like, I feel like I'm returning to a part of myself I didn't know existed. And it was like coming home to, like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's kind of uncanny, but it's a sense of like, almost, I guess you could call it like past life recognition, but discovering that feeling in the moment. Maybe you've had that recently and you've seen how it could propel you towards your future. Maybe you're even getting powerful visions of the future and they overwhelm you, and you think about like, oh my God, if that were to be real, like so-and-so might say this, or like, what if I mess up? Like, how am I going to explain this? Who gives a fuck about that? It's none of their business. The real thing is that when you get caught up in that stuff, you have to recenter yourself and tell yourself, and I know this is much easier said than done, but if you are giving from the kindness of your heart, if you are acting with integrity, honesty, authenticity, and like the best intentions in your heart, and somebody has a problem with that, I think they're the goober. Like, it's not you. And it's not you that has to carry that or be ashamed of it. But you're ready to step into a much more gentle era in your life, and one where miracles abound and life works for you, not against you. And really, the only reason life's been working against you is because you've been working against yourself, you know. And it's and tales all this time, don't we all do it? Like, you know, I mean, just even the programming around like comparing ourselves. And I do have to rant like for 2 seconds. I hate the word mogging. I think it's a terrible word. I think it sucks. You know, we all know comparison is the thief of joy. And my tinfoil hat theory that's based on nothing other than me pulling this out of my butt is, I think that institutions and systems like, say, a centralized intelligence agency somewhere in the world, you know, might really like to push terms like that, because they just create more psychic negativity through creating words for negative phenomena and then normalizing them as like, oh, it's just what the kids are saying. Oh, it's just what, you know, and it is what the kids are saying. The kids may not feel that way once they start aging, but I hate that word because it's just like, it's creating a bunch of comparison. I mean, I'm not gonna get on my like, I guess I am on my high horse about it, but it's just one of those things where, like, I feel like words that, like, coming up with new words that literally mean, like, really negative, awful stuff that's just, like, dehumanizing and egoic and, like, that, like, fart turd shit. Mogging goes in that category. And I hate that word. I think it's dehumanizing to everyone. And I think there's a lot of words like that, but mogging's the one that comes to mind. And, think about, like, how sad that word is, though, actually. Like, you're reducing someone, or not just someone, at least two people, to one aspect of their being and judging them based on whether it's better or not. Like, what a small, limiting, awful thing to do to a person. And I think that in the reason why I'm talking about this is because I think things like that seem semi-harmless on the surface, like, oh, okay, like, it's a dumb word, it's silly, like, we can use it sarcastically, like, I'm gonna have to hold myself back from using it sarcastic. Well, not really, because I haven't used it sarcastically, but if I started using it sarcastically, I'd have to hold myself back. And I really think for you guys, there's a message here about being selective with the language you choose and the language you allow yourself to use and to speak about yourself with. I'm hearing Miss Ariane in my head. My tongue is sacred. I speak upon that which I like. Because I think your mind breaks your heart sometimes. And I feel like your ancestors are coming through to say, there is no length of time where people will stop being people. And you can't wait for the road to be paved ahead of you, because it's one you have to forge yourself. And though that's hard and though that's challenging, you have the work ethic to see through the psychic, the intuitive hits that you've gotten, to see through whatever plans you've made. And if you straight up just have no clue what you're doing right now, know that you're already doing enough. In fact, you're doing amazing, sweetie. And I feel like your ancestors want you to know that they are so proud of you, and they wish that you weren't so hard on yourself, because, like, you are running in ways that they could only walk. And I think that self-doubt could be like a generational unhealthy cycle. I think it's something that, like, basically most of the human collective is dealing with. If you have a healthy self-esteem in today's day and age, like, without actively, like, cultivating it, pretty based, in my opinion. Say I talk shit about mogging and I was saying, well, but based is a positive term. I don't know. I do kind of fear, this is just another tangent, I kind of fear, like, 10 years from now what language is gonna look like, because this might be like Shakespearean English compared to how we're talking by then. But yeah, like, language is an agreement. You know, people agree to say these things, people agree to leave out the Oxford comma. I disagree. I agree with the idea that the Oxford comma should always be there, but I digress. You don't have to agree with anything that doesn't ring true for you, that doesn't stand right for you. And you don't have to put up with anyone's shit. Just point blank, you don't have to put up with anyone's shit. And your ancestors are saying you don't have to figure out other people's nonsense for them. You don't have to go down rabbit holes trying to figure out why people behave the way that they do, and why you just doing your thing is going to make people mad, because those people are losers. And I'm comfortable calling them losers because it is a mean thing to say. Because being a loser is a choice. And it's a matter of attitude. And any loser can become a winner by simply just shifting their attitude, you know? And I think for you, you need to have a lot more conviction in the person you were raised to be, the person you are now. Like, I feel like in a lot of ways, some of you are like, I was raised right, or maybe you weren't, but you learned what not to do and lived from a place of integrity anyway. That is who you are. No amount of nonsense can get in the way of that. But it can certainly make that nonsense a hell of a lot more painful and more damaging if you agree with it or even consider it as truth for a second. I think, you know, we're in a society right now that's like really, really comfortable with criticizing everything. And like, let me be clear, it's a Virgo moon. Like I'm not saying all criticism is bad, but I do think a lot of people don't know what criticism is. And in your case, part of your brilliance is going to be learning to weed out the crap you don't need to listen to. The Emperor does not make decisions based upon what people want. The Emperor makes decisions based upon what's needed. You know, if the Emperor sat down and talked to all of his subjects and was like, what do you guys want? And he just went off of that, just on their whims or just what they thought, the empire would be in shambles. And same goes for you. You do not need to consider other people's needs and feelings when it comes to the things that are most authentic and true to your spirit. And when you are considering how others might not be happy with what you choose to do, I will say this: they can eat a dick. It doesn't matter. Does it hurt? Yes. I'm not saying it doesn't, but what I am saying is that the Emperor is not the Empress. The Emperor bucks up, keeps his armor on. Keep your armor on, metaphorical. That's one thing too, is that, you know, he wears armor. So exposing yourself, I would say, you know, make sure, like, whenever you are exposing yourself to things that could be harmful to your mindset or erode your confidence or just make you feel insecure, maybe don't do that. Or if you know you're going to be around someone who loves to nag you, you know, maybe prepare beforehand and have some good psychic barriers up. Like, really, there's a huge message flowing throughout this reading that not only do you know what you need, you know what you don't need to waste time on. And it's only that small part of you, that fearful part of you, and maybe that small part of you that, you know, feels safer when things aren't going well, that wants to believe people like that, because it's easier to be in that comfort zone than it is to be exposed and be vulnerable and be open and honest about what you want and where you're going and where you're headed. But you're undergoing a powerful reclamation of your spirit. Once again, the words divine birthright are coming through. And there is nobody that can take your place, or just because there might be a lot of people doing a similar thing as to you or something like that, that doesn't mean that your presence isn't valued. You know, there's room for everyone, and there's room for you. And if you haven't taken steps towards whatever it is that you have been like getting like downloads about or something like that, you know, I think your ancestors are saying, go with the flow. You're undergoing a natural process right now where the clarity you need hits at the perfect time. Reconnection to self, source, or something loved comes at the right time in the right ways. So I guess you could call that like emotional nourishment. Emotional nourishment will always find you when it's needed, but also it's something you can always return to, and it will be something that makes moving forward easier. Because, like, let's be clear, like, I think your ancestors are acknowledging that what's being asked of you may be challenging, and you may deal with, you know, rejection or misunderstandings or whatever the case may be. But if that happens, and if you come face to face with it, because a lot of it you should just be oblivious to. I mean, like, you want some advice? Like, don't I've never Googled myself in my life, and I don't plan to. Highly recommend, like, if, just don't go looking. Ignorance is bliss, I guess, is the point of what I'm saying. Ignorance is bliss. And you know how to stay in your own lane. Trust that anything and anyone that is not relevant or needed for you to fulfill your path is not something that you need to consider. And you'll know. Well, you already know. You already know what you're worth. You already know your value. And I do think that there are people in your life that remind you of this, or that help you tap back into that. Maybe you have children, maybe it's a partner, maybe it's best friends, maybe it's just family members. But I can also see here too that, like I said earlier with that one message, I think just in general, like, soul family could be coming in during this time. And actually, one cool message I'm getting is that your ancestors, you could be reconnecting to an ancestor, like, in this lifetime that you haven't met yet. I don't know if they'd be your aunt. I don't need all the tea. All I know is that people that you've, if you believe in that sort of thing, had past lives with, could be coming back around in this next phase of your life, especially because, like, your heart is magnetically attracting them. The more you're in the energy of your heart space, and gentleness, softness, compassion, those feel-good vibes, and you have your Emperor energy protecting it so that it can't be, sapped or harmed, or less likely to be harmed, you're going to be attracting, like, the right types of people and the right types of experiences to keep your heart cup runneth-ing over. Those aren't words, but I'm thinking of, like, the Ace of Cups, how it overflows. Like, no matter how much you may be convinced that it's all over, there's no hope, or is this just how life is gonna be? No. No matter how lost you feel from yourself, or no matter how disconnected and lonely you feel from others, that's just for now, because the future is really, really, really bright. New things in all areas of your life. I think old things that are meant to continue with you are being revamped and transformed to fit this person that you're becoming. And really, you've always been this person. It's just that you haven't had the enough Emperor energy, I would say, to say yes and no to what is and isn't you. I feel like an example of this is, like, I don't think you have a problem, like, tuning into your heart, unless it's like your heart's heavy and you don't want to feel that stuff. But I do think you've had a problem doing what your heart needs from you because of obligations, guilt, shame. Like, I think you've been really good at generating that love energy. You've just had a hard time protecting and conserving it, because I think that on like a subconscious level, you felt like you owe things to other people, or you've had a hard time feeling like it's your right to say no, or to just conserve your time and energy. But ultimately, everything is going to be okay. And, like I said, you're doing amazing, sweetie. Definitely expect psychic senses to be opening up more and more. You might need more sleep, so please give yourself that time if you need it. With this Eight of Pentacles here, though, know that you cannot fail. Like, with the Eight of Pentacles here, like, once you know where you need to go, you'll hit that and then some. Not only that, though, I feel like you might feel like things haven't started for you yet, but you've been on your path and working hard for a long time. I just don't think you maybe see how much you've truly grown, because you can't, like, you're not measuring every single little thing that's changed over time. The universe is. And cruel people and cruel environments just have no place in your world as of now and moving forward. Truthfully, they never had a place, but unfortunately, we as humans, you know, humans normalize cruelty. Well, I guess, I don't know if they normalize it. I guess it's just, you know, people are wounded. But ultimately, cruelty has nothing over you. Because there's nothing crueler than denying yourself love and authentic connection and kindness and just authenticity and empowerment because someone else took it upon themselves to be cruel to you. I feel like your ancestors are saying, like, not only are they behind you, but also there are people waiting in the wings to meet you and people already in your life that love and support you and know who you are, know the truth of who you are, and love you deeply and truly. That is evidence enough of the person that you are. You know, if you ever feel like you find yourself overwhelmed or like thinking about like, oh, am I really a bad person? Bad people don't question if they're a bad person. If you've ever been like, am I a narcissist? Narcissists do not question if they are. And I think really this next step is about having conviction in the fact that you deserve to feel good. You deserve to feel good. You deserve to enjoy your life, and you deserve to live the life you came here to live, not exist by some stupid, arbitrary crap of this is what humans should do. You know what you need to do and what's true and right for you. And if you don't know, then that's all you need to know. Because you'll know when it's time with this Ace of Swords. And I feel like your ancestors are going to continue communicating, sending you signs, and giving you like the green light. But actually what's interesting here is that the more you take the lead and just take action without certainty, but just like, I feel, if you have a vague idea of what you know you can focus on or what you know you can do in the immediate present, that is going to be very powerful in terms of gaining more confidence in your own connection to source, and in terms of like actually consciously connecting to guides, ancestors specifically, but also guides, because that came through. By taking initiative and taking action, you will get signs and confirmation like crazy, experience psychic phenomena, feel emotional pulls and flows that show you, oh yes, this is something that is in alignment. This is giving us momentum. This is good. And if you take action that is like, oh, it's not aligned, this is not working, ooh, you'll know it very quickly, you'll feel it, and you'll get confirmation from the universe outside of you as well that it is. You just watch. Like, I think one of the most magical things that you're in for is connecting with the divine through the third dimension. And, you know, instead of being, you know, that guy that's like, oh, it's just confirmation bias, like appreciating the pattern recognition skills your brain has given you and using that to identify synchronicities that will either be confirmation you're on the right path or confirmation that something is not for you. And the thing is that the synchronicity is there to validate the feeling you already had. It's not there to tell you what's true. So you will already know what the answer is. The universe will just be backing that answer up in a way that makes sense to you. And you don't even need to know what the sign is. You don't even know. Like, it will make sense to you in the moment, and that's all that matters. A sign is only a sign if you make it a sign. So you'll feel a sign more than you'll see a sign. Does that make sense? You'll feel the sign, and then you'll process it, and then you might question it. But the strength of the feeling hopefully will be enough for you to dissolve that. And ultimately too, I think your ancestors want you to know that you don't need to cry for others. Like, I'm hearing the words like, don't cry for me. Your ancestors don't want you to be sad, and also your ancestors want you to understand that they didn't, once again, the word hiney is coming through. Whose ancestors use these words? Your ancestors didn't work their heinies off and sacrifice a lot for you not to reap the benefits of what their hard work led you to be able to enjoy through time and space. They want you to enjoy life. They want you to appreciate being in your body, being on earth, you know, having a beautiful connection to your heart. Like, that's a thing, you know, a lot of what you're worried about, like, you know, just a lot of the human nonsense that can, you know, try to rain on our parades, like, that comes from people who don't have that connection, or they lost it and haven't figured out how to find it yet. You know, it's not your job to be savior to everyone, and it's not your job to dial back or dull down the beauty, the passion, the intensity, the greatness of your own human experience because others haven't been able to, because others can't relate. If anything, you get to serve as an inspirational marker to show them what's possible. And I think for you, you are a living embodiment of what you're needing to prove to yourself. And so the truth will reveal itself as you move through this process, kind of half blind, and reach these bouts of clarity and reconnection to self where you're like, oh, that's what this was trying to show me. And a lot of it is just trying to show you that you are always capable, you were always meant to do this, you didn't fail, you didn't mess anything up. And in fact, like, you're just a lovable, wonderful person who is deserving of having an enjoyable life that is one that you get to choose. That's one of your own creation. That's one that you feel in control of. And the more you take control and you focus on what's in your power, the more you will find yourself feeling confident in your own instincts and in your own instincts and like intuitive nudges. And also you will be questioning yourself less, which will free up more energy to do more things that you actually enjoy. So, you know, like this self-doubt card shows, to not let other people or just like large mainstream media crap get in the way of you feeling good about yourself and believing in your worthiness. You know, you're someone who's here to be the change, not sit around and wait and hope that it does. And I think your ancestors are saying, like, we could never give up on you. Number one, because even if you gave up on yourself, like, we still wouldn't, because we love you and, like, we'll always believe in you. But also, you don't even believe in giving up on yourself. So when you feel yourself, like, feeling hopeless or, like, numb or disconnected or apathetic, just take a break. That's really what you need in those moments. Because if you're needing to be doing something, you'll know. And sometimes you might just be doing too much, and that drains you. So this has been such a chaotic reading. I do not know if any of this resonated, but I'm like trying to summarize it all. But like, ancestors, what would you like to say to group 3? I feel like they're summarizing it all to say that, like, you are a sovereign being of light who is here to share your light and be a leader on planet Earth in ways that only, I don't want to say only you know, because I think they know too, but in many ways, not just one. And the strength that you carry is no joke. But it's time to get excited for the future, because I promise you the hardest parts of your life are over. any challenges that you have moving forward, even if there's something a past version of you couldn't fathom and would crumble under, the present version of you and the version of you that you're becoming and stepping into is more than prepared to handle whatever comes their way. And I think the thing you don't realize is that you're always bracing for the worst, but your ancestors are begging you to just start expecting the best. Because not only are you that, but also you put your all into what you do. You leave your heart out on the field. What can I say? I don't know why I needed to say field, but I gotta say, sometimes like when I do these readings, when like I finish, sometimes I'm like, man, I left it all out there on the field today. Like, and like you just feel that like I'm spent. I did my best. That's who you are. That's what you're capable of. And you know that. And so I feel like your ancestors are really saying, trust yourself more and trust your own flow more. Now is not the time to look to other people to get reassurance or guidance about what you need, which is a bit ironic considering you're here. But it was self-generated guidance, was it not? Because you chose to click on it, right? This is more so like people offering you advice, whether you want it or not, asking people for advice when you know they don't get you, or you know like their perspective or their worldview just doesn't fit with yours. Trust your own discernment and don't look for reasons to validate it. The reasons to validate it are going to be things that made you wish you trusted it to begin with. And I feel like your ancestors are saying, stop doubting yourself. And trust, like trust. You've gotten this far. You're going to continue to keep going. And don't cry over the past. Don't cry over what's already happened. The past has made you the wonderful person that you are now. And whatever healing you might need to do around the past, I feel like you can take the lead on that. But if you're beating yourself up for things like, oh man, I wish I would have done this. Like, why didn't I do that? You didn't. You did the best you could with the knowledge you have, same as you're doing right now. So redirect your attention to the present and what is going well, and also start expecting more miracles and more blessings, and start expecting the best, because I think that there's a hell of a lot more goodness that wants to enter your life. It just has no room to enter yet, because the ways in which you could receive it require you to take a leap of faith, take certain risks, take the lead in ways that you don't know what the payoff will be, or if there will be any. I can tell you there will be, from just the standpoint of it's good to take risks. Well, healthy ones, not bad ones. It's good to take leaps of faith and step into the unknown sometimes. It's how we learn, that's how we grow, that's how we become stronger humans. And you're one strong ass human. I just think maybe you don't give yourself, you're a strong ass human that's not using your own power because you're afraid of the consequences of you using your power, like someone being upset if you set a boundary or something like that. And I'll tell you what, it's a lot easier to not care about that when you've set your boundary and you don't have to listen to them moan about it. So there's that too. But group 3, I'm going to summarize this chaotic reading. I really hope it made sense. I don't know if anything that I said made sense. I do apologize for no, I don't apologize for the tangents. The tangents are authentic to my true self. And that is how I truly feel about that word that I will not say. So we're just going to get a final guidance card from your ancestors and see what they want you to know moving forward. So group 3's ancestors, what guidance do you have for group 3 moving forward? What do you need them to know at this time for their highest good, please? Group 3's, okay. Okay, so we have Sacrament of Extreme Unction. I will say, unk is kind of funny. I don't like it because it's mean. Wait, it's been an unk fest in my family. Like, like, I'm like, oh, stop calling each other unk. This is ridiculous. It's kind of funny though. It is a funnier word at least. And I think it can be a little bit more generous. I feel like I have unk energy. Just like make it, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what the youths are doing. I find out and then I just get sad. I don't know. The youths are doing a lot of cool things too. And see, even I'm skewing things towards the negative, as if young people aren't full of hope and amazing things that they just have yet to share with the world. Okay. Your heart knows how to let go so you can find peace. It is time for you to experience spiritual closure. A beautiful new reality is opening up to you. Okay, I feel a little bit better about what I was just, okay. I'm at least in the right. Entering it requires you to release your attachment to the past. You have been inwardly preparing for a powerful rebirth. That's what I was saying about like this process has been so subtle, but there's been so much happening. Like, you know how a lot of like a plant's growth is underneath the ground. That's like kind of what you've been doing. Now is the time to trust what is meant for you and move toward it with an open, trusting heart and a peaceful mind. In an ideal world, we would finish our inner work, be completely healed, check it off the list, and move on without any issues from the past intruding into our present life. In a more realistic view, we do our best to muddle through, gaining enough understanding and healing to attain some degree of closure and move on as best as we can, flicking off remnants of the past which can arise, even whilst we are doing our best to let go. In an even more challenging turn of our growth spiral, we may know something has run its course and no longer belongs in our world, yet have trouble exercising the past and its pains, confusions, or attachments, so it bleeds through into the present, even though we know it doesn't belong there. To avoid the taint of the past causing unnecessary issues in the present, the Oracle of the Sacrament of Extreme Unction brings powerful spiritual last rites so you can be cleansed and liberated into the fullness of your next phase. In the Catholic tradition, Extreme Unction is performed at the time of physical passing. I feel bad taking the word unk out of like a religious thing. I got adult though, it's kind of funny. Forgive me, Father, I sinned. Okay. It's performed at the time of physical passing to cleanse the soul and allow it to gracefully leave the body and enter the afterlife. In the context of this oracle, the symbolic equivalent of the sacrament is the powerful intervention of spirit to free you from the grip of what has been. It is a liberation from habit and the compelling lure of the familiar. It is divine forgiveness and healing. Extreme unction translates into last anointing. While spiritual grace will be with you always, and blessing is always available to the receptive heart, this oracle wishes to bring to your attention the ending of a particularly stubborn pattern. As it does, you will feel greater freedom and a new lease on life. And if you are being born again, as if you are being born again in this lifetime. Did I not say that like this is going to be different from anything you've ever experienced? Okay, I love when these, this just makes me feel like 50 times better that it's like somewhat of what I remember saying. I don't know why I'm just talking to you guys like so casually. I just must be really comfortable with you. Take that to show just more of your excellence. Like I don't even feel like I feel less of a need to perform, but I do feel a need to stay on task because I don't want to torture you. I'm sorry. It augurs significant and permanent healing release. Yeah, significant and permanent, I think, is very clear. As the expression goes, every saint has a past and every sinner has a future. This oracle encourages you to embrace your future and let go of the emotional and psychological burdens you have been carrying for yourself and likely many others. Ancestors entered the chat. Okay, yes. Well, they were already in the chat, but confirming they're in the chat. And more for far too long. Sometimes we martyr ourselves to the pain of the past or even attempt to carry the suffering of others, holding it within our hearts as if that can alleviate the burden of another or create healing. Yes, that is such better wording of what I was trying to explain. All that happens in such instances is that suffering increases. Let yourself off the hook of guilt, shame, or blame. Give yourself permission to acknowledge that all people, including you, have done their best. The universe is offering you a powerful spiritual gift. Your heart knows how to receive it. Let go. There is no turning back. It is time to start anew. It is your time to be happy and free. Oh my gosh, I'm hearing Snoop Dogg now, like young, wild, and free. Maybe need to listen to that song. I'm not encouraging you to imbibe, but I'm also you can do what you want, little emperor. Should I say big emperor? Big emperor energy. Okay, so there's a healing process here. If you would like to screenshot it and do it on your own time, I would highly recommend you do that, especially for this group, because as we can see, energy is very powerful. And also you guys got an especially long reading, so I hope you enjoyed it. Definitely leave me a like, especially if you got all the way to the end. Leave a little teacup emoji or a frog emoji, or both, if you made it to the end of pile 3. But pile 3, that is where I'm going to leave your reading. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you so much for letting my ads play in the background while you do something else. That's the simplest and easiest way to show support and appreciation for my channel. Thank you to everybody who does that. If not, just get YouTube Premium. You can leave me tips, Cashapp, palehag, hype, like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. All that helps me. Thank you to everyone who does that. If you'd like to support me in other ways, you can check out videos on the extendeds. You can sign up for my email list. Email list gets email list privileges, like freebies, little messages from me. If I ever open personal readings, they will only be to my email list. So if you want a personal reading, you need to be on that. Yeah, and other jazz. It's a good thing to be a part of. Wow. Okay. Group 3, that is where I'm going to leave your reading. I love you guys so much. I really hope this message resonated and brought you what you needed to hear. I hope you all have a wonderful day or night whenever it is that you guys are watching this. I love you all so much, and I hope you'll come back and see me again soon. Bye!